無量不死周囲念金色心情如線のシャマタ行如造部両目上脈小蓮華子が将来見出そう面前返上如満が以降有如千日が小如天空しら子が将来見出そう安穏将来感知時集中面相法小本ノブゲドマケ子が将来見出そう無義無苦法少女中毒経験予告上差利悪徳自在子が将来見出そう実法名門菩薩衆無量小魔上三乱異常衆上が力事子が将来見出そう本体法見知正形前言少女明大座大い座上如線の子が将来見出そう実法将来勝負し変幻人図し安楽千の尊厳上不病子が将来見出そう勝負無常無我と薬尿水眼伝尿異種世法無尿時子が将来見出そう異足無世無悪行薬入量になく道具修理死心教義尊子が将来見出そう異尊無量法勉強
Will everyone please rise if you are able to do so, and join me for the reading of the three treasures on page 3. Three treasures. Fortunate is it to be born into human life, now we are living. Rare is it to encounter the teachings of the Buddha, now we hear it. If we do not seek the truth of the dogma of this life, in what life shall we find? Let us reverently take refuge in the three treasures of the truth.
I take refuge in Buddha, bringing all together, restore into ourselves the principle of the way to enlightenment, and awaken within us our highest aspirations. I take refuge in Dharma, bringing all together, be submerged in the depth of the Dharma, and gain wisdom as deep as the ocean. I take refuge in Sangha, may we all together become units in true accord, in the life of harmony, in the spirit of universal growth, free from bondage of selfishness.
Even through ages, myriad of problems, hard is it to hear such an excellent, profound, and wonderful teaching. Now we are able to hear and receive it. Let us thoroughly understand the true meaning of the title of the teaching. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. Our author today is Amita's Paradise. You will find us on page 81 of our little service. 81. It's a new one, isn't it? Thank you. Please be seated. Now we will have a message from Reverend Matt May.
Please join me in gato. Namo Amida Butsu. 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 Good morning.
Good morning.
It's nice to be able to join you this time. This is the first time I've actually, I think, been on the 19 and we were in here a few times before that. To introduce myself, my name is Robert Matney. I'm one of the administrative assistants at CLS. Some of you may know my wife, Reverend Rosalie. She's now the acting minister at Yakima Buddhist Temple. And yeah, she got promotion. And so we've been minister's assistants for about 10 years. We've been ordained for 7. And I actually kind of wanted to talk a little bit about the how we got into it, the kind of the convert experience of Buddhism. So I'll start out with that, and then I have a little story to tell. So when you decide to become a Buddhist, there are not many better places in America to do that than Seattle, because you have every choice of Buddhist that you can be. You can be Tibetan, you can be a Vietnamese, Thai, you can go find a Zen teacher. There are the American Buddhist traditions that came over from sort of the hippie era, and you can go and do that. So you can be as secular or as esoteric as you want with your Buddhism, right? The world's your oyster. If you're born into the tradition, this is what we taught. This is what we learned in Dharma school, and so it's kind of you just kind of understand what the Buddhism is. But for at least one shining moment as you convert, you get to take the sampler platter of Buddhism. And so I remember reading about Buddhism, and of course you go to the bookstore and there's a row of Tibetan, and then there's a row of Zen, and then underneath that is Buddhism other. And so I never really read anything about Jodo Shinshu. I just kind of when there was a phone book, because this was 17 years ago, I flipped through Seattle Buddhism, that one, all right, and I went to the temple and started just listening to the message and just watching how things unfolded in the temple. And there comes a point where you start hearing about the things that Shinran Shonin did, right? His life and how he became ordained at age 9, and 20 years later, he receives his, he becomes a monk in the Tendai tradition and receives his ordination paperwork, and he goes, well, that didn't work. And what he says in that time and for the rest of his life was, there's this path of sages, right? You can go off and you can do this, but it's exceedingly hard. And we talk about the idea of mappo, which is translated into English as the defiled age. We're so far away from the teachings of the Buddha that we ourselves can't absorb it. If we were so close to the Buddha that we could actually hear his teachings, he had 84,000, right? 1 million different ways to know exactly where you were and what you needed to become enlightened. But we're so far away from that. And I think the idea of most people that convert to Buddhism, as they're reading all this stuff and they're reading about the Buddha and about the Enlightenment, and especially as a lot of other traditions sort of put you on that path of sages. You, through your own acts, are following in that path, right meditation, right thought, right action. That you are sort of working your way up to this. And a lot of the converts go hey, maybe that's me, right? Maybe I could be the Buddha. Maybe I could be the one, right? And of course, that's the working of ego, right? Yeah, you think you're the one. You're the one, right? I'm Neo from the Matrix. I'm the one that's going to solve this problem. And it's kind of hard for your ego to process that message, right? Maybe we're not the one, right? Maybe we don't have all the answers. And so, Reverend Castro, who was the minister that sort of brought us in as minister's assistants, he always talks about Jodo Shinshu Buddhism as no Buddhist left behind. Right? That the vow of Amida, the reason that Amida is in the center of all of this is that Amida brought everyone into a place where if it took them 1 billion years, kalpas, forever, to become enlightened beings and then come back and help. The Pure Land was there for that to happen. And so the act of sort of falling back into that and recognizing that it's not my power, Jiviki, that is making this stuff happen, right? That I am going to be the main character of life, but that I need to fall back on the people around me, and that I need to be humble enough to know that I don't know all of the answers. I mean, that to me was the thing that needed to sort of snap into place in my head for me to really understand the teachings of Joshinji. And so here's the story. This is new, and I know some of you will come to Seattle Betsy and go back and forth. So if you're planning on going next week, you get a pass because I'm going to get the same time. Don't tell them I said that. I hope this isn't being recorded. Somebody comes home and is like, he's cheating. So I've been spending a lot of the summer in Ocean Shores. So those of you who haven't been there, it's this peninsula, and there are lots of canals and walking paths, and it's on the ocean, of course. And the thing that it's known for is the deer. The deer are everywhere in Ocean Shores, especially sort of from the spring. You see the new fawns being born, and they are constantly on walking the roads and everything. It's beautiful until they start eating your vegetation. But you almost can't enjoy the nature of Ocean Shores without running into, hopefully not literally, the deer. So Rosa and I were walking along a path in the woods there, and we saw a doe and her two babies. So there are these three deer that are standing in front of us on the pathway. And I see that that like we have to get through them, or they have to clear out, and we don't really know what to do. But one of them is sort of off the path to the side. And as we walk, we sort of think to each other and we go, what do we do? What can we do for this, for these deer so that they know that we're not threatening them or anything? And so we say, all right, let's just walk through and everything will be okay. So we walk through, and so there's the doe and one of the fawns on one side and the other fawn on the other side. And we kind of we're hoping, can you get over with Mom and your other sibling so that we're not in trouble, right? We're worried about them being separated, and finally we're now scaring them apart from each other. And so we go, all right, let's just push through, and we'll, it'll sort itself out. So we walk through and we cross the path, and that deer just kind of sits there frozen. And we walk a little ways down the path, and they're still separated. And we go, maybe that was the wrong thing, right? So now in our heads is this doubt. What if we have now separated the deer, this deer family? Because sometimes when you get too close to an animal, the parent will abandon the animal. You may think that it's lost, it's going to die. And so we're worried that we basically kind of left this animal to have to fend for itself. So we come back and we go back and we kind of position ourselves again so that the three of them are close and so that this one can kind of jump and run off. And instead it just goes and hides in a little burrow somewhere. And we're like, oh no. So we walk past and we kind of get out of their field of view. And we come back to the top of the pathway, and there's one mother deer and one baby deer. And the mother looks at me directly and goes, what did you do to that one? And I'm like, I'm sorry. And I realize that I'm doing the same thing that I do to everybody else to show my ego. Which is when we do something wrong and we feel it, what is the first thing that we want to tell people? But I'm really a good person. I'm really nice. I'm really good. I screwed up, but yeah, I'm good, right? So here I am standing in a clearing, looking at a mother deer, trying to tell them I'm a good person. Didn't work. So we walk further away. We get further out of sight. We go about 10, 15 minutes. And we come back and we're walking back to our house. And we have to cross this bridge to get there. And at the top of the bridge, there are a couple of deer. Mother and a baby. And I look at the mother deer, and the mother deer looks back at me, and I realize it's the same deer.
Oh.
And there's still only one baby there. And my heart begins to sink. Right? I'm worried now that this is not going to end well for that deer, and it was all because I rushed forward. Right? I crossed that path. I pushed them around. Something bad is going to happen to that deer. And I'm realizing through all of this, I'm doing this to myself, right? This is my ego telling me I should be smarter. I should be doing this. Like I'm supposed to magically know how the deer work. And this is the funny thing. Like the Buddha actually did. Right? When the Buddha's last sermon, the animals came, right? It was all sentient beings, and so the Buddha was so wise that the Buddha would have done the right thing, right? I obviously did not do the right thing, and I'm feeling bad about it. And finally, from about 100 yards back, I hear, and it's that second baby deer. And it had just snuck back in, and the three of them stood together and looked at us like, what? And I'm sitting here thinking about all of this teaching of understand that you're not perfect, right? That you're going to screw up. And that how much I fought that because like, oh no, if I really try, I'm going to get this right? That's not what Jodo Shinshu Buddhism teaches. It teaches you to understand what your limitations are. Not that you're some screw up, that you're especially wrong or broken, but that sometimes it's not about you. Sometimes things just work themselves out. Sometimes you're not the main character of life. That to me has, it just keeps coming back to me that understanding your humility and understanding that you are part of the world. My favorite billboard sign was one that said, "You're not in traffic, you are traffic." Right? If you can understand that you're part of a larger whole, you've started to learn one of the most basic understandings of Buddhism. And to understand that you do not control the things around you the way that you think that you do. And that you need to depend on the people around you and the things around you in order just to get through a regular day. That is one of the most important lessons of Buddhism. And I got that from a deer and her teachings. So I'll conclude with that. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I'm almost relieved that it's cloudy. It's been sunny for too long. But I hope you have a good rest of your weekend. And you get, please join me, guys. Namo Amida. Namo Amida.
Namo Amida.
Thank you, Reverend Dave, for that summer talk. Be more careful in the woods next time. Alrighty. For those of you who are able, please rise and we will sing the Song 2, which you find on page 152. And please remain standing afterwards. Thank you.
Oh,
The Daily Creed of Generation. Realizing life is short and suffering and I shall live my life cheerfully and positively. Understanding what is life and cultivating self-reflection, I shall begin my life's task in gratitude. Recognizing the Dharma path, I shall spread the teachings of the Buddha. Appreciating the Buddha, I shall respect and help others, working for the good of society. Thank you. You may be seated. Do we have any guests today that like to be recognized? Okay. Are there any announcements today? One here.
Good morning. So a couple quick announcements, and it's in your yellow sheet, so I'm going to be brief. Next week is the Seattle Tacoma River softball tournament. We're hopefully we'll beat Seattle. But we have a pretty full team, but we're still looking at what they want to play. There's a recreational game that starts at 9, and then a more competitive round robin that starts at 10. It's at Liberty Park in Renton. If you just want to watch, that's totally fine too. I think we're probably going to try to maybe have a picnic afterwards or just some kind of together. So if you would like to join us, we'd love to have you. Lastly, there is a blood drive that's happening here in 2 weeks on the 19th. There's a flyer out in the lobby, but please sign up if you're able to give blood because the supplies are pretty short right now. So, and it'll take place right here in the hall. So if you have any questions, see me, happy to talk. Thank you.
Just two things. We have a Board Authority Committee Chairman's meeting in the back right after service. Anybody's welcome to attend. And the other thing is that Navy has a sign-up sheet to go to Mariners game on September 13th against the Angels. There's a sign-up sheet on the backboard. Thanks.
Is there ukulele practice today?
No,
No? Okay.
we're taking a vacation.
Okay, I thought I saw it just somewhere. Maybe it's on this
Oh,
little
maybe
sheet.
it's on there, but not.
Okay, so these are events that are upcoming, and you can find a copy of this out on the table in the lobby if you want one. Pretty nice yellow color. Okay, so we will close our service, and we have our traditional, hopefully new traditional saying that we do at the end. If you remember it, read along, chant along with me. If not, I'll just do it right here. My life is not only my life, but the life of others. Sacrifices, kindness, thoughtfulness, and patience. I am grateful. Namo me others. Namo me others. Thank you all for attending White River service today. Please take care of yourselves, and hopefully we'll see you soon. Thank you very much.
Well, yeah.